Hello, I'm Leslie Schooler, Dean of Faculty at Carondelet High School.
And I am Elizabeth Chapineau, VP for Academics and Educational Technology.
We're going to give you a little bird's eye view of what our academic program is here at Carondelet.
Just so you get a feel for how we approach things and how we think about education. Specifically, I think that a big thing that we think about is one of the values that our team holds is that our world is ever changing and at a very fast pace. So yes, we want to teach our students how to learn, but we also want to teach them the flexibility of knowing how to unlearn things that no longer serve them. And when we reviewed curriculum a few years back, we really understood that we had to shift our mindset, and it wasn't just about content. And we saw areas of opportunity. Oh, look, we're hiding our little thing. We saw areas of opportunity in the freshman curriculum because that is the last year that students have before colleges really start looking at their grades with a microscope. So we knew that this was an opportunity also because it's their first year of high school, which is a huge year in a child's growth and evolution. So we've created some foundational courses as part of our freshman curriculum, Frosh Think, Make, Share, and Frosh Mind, Body, Spirit, that really speak to our school as a mission, but also provide them a space of learning in a different way. It's not always their favorite thing. Sometimes they just want to be told what to do. But both of these courses, Frosh Creation through creativity and art and computers, they learn to collaborate, they learn to team, they learn principles of design thinking, and it forces them to learn how to work together and think out of the box. So that we feel is really important. And then mind, body, spirit, it's also equally important. We are a Catholic school, and whether or not a child is practicing Catholic, we feel that there's an obligation, for them to have an understanding of the Catholic faith, but also for them to connect to their spirituality. So this first year, freshman year, we fused the California curriculum of health with our religion curriculum so that they would be speaking of their faith in action and processing this really important transition for themselves in action. So I think today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on three subjects. Obviously, there's more than three subjects at Carondelet, but we have three departments that have approached learning in a different way to lead to a really important result, which I'm going to share a table. And I know that numbers can be blinding, or I'm not going to share a table. There we go. I am going to share a table. But before we started reworking curriculum, this is a table of the number of students that were taking an honors or an AP class. And in 2015, we were really proud that we had a lot of students in honors, but we were using a very traditional model of how they could access honors and AP. And our goal was, how do we support them in their journey and give greater access? And what we have found is that the processes that we have taken into and have started launching have led to a vast exponential growth in students accessing honors and AP. And those are three of the subjects that shifted the way things are done in a dramatic way that have led to this extraordinary growth. And we want to share a little bit more about that. So I think we're going to start with probably the one that's received the most press, and we'll let Mrs. Schooler.
Yeah, so we're going to start off talking about how we have really reimagined how we teach math at Carondelet. And this was something that as a department, we were researching best practices. We were looking at different organizations and asking them sort of, what do you want your employees, what sort of skills do you want them to have? And things that were coming up was collaboration, problem solving, having grit and that growth mindset. And we also were wanting to sort of address the needs of our students. For many of our students, what class that they were eligible for in high school, whether that was Algebra 1 or Geometry or maybe even Algebra 2, was based on a placement that they got in sixth grade. And whether they were placed in that advanced math in sixth grade really dictated ultimately where they ended up at their senior year at high school. And that didn't sit right with us because a lot of students didn't have a choice. Maybe their school only had one option, or students might not yet know that they want to go into a STEM major when they're in fifth or sixth grade. So we really sort of reimagined how we approach math and created multiple pathways to allow students to sort of personalize their learning for their own journey and their own goals. The first big change we did was in our placement test that all of our incoming students take in the spring of their 8th grade year. It's no longer a pass, you go into geometry, or fail, you go back to the beginning of Algebra 1. Now we actually test it for mastery, and students can test out of the concepts and skills in Algebra 1 that they already know. So when they come to Carondelet, they only need to take those concepts and those topics that they need to prove mastery on. And what that might mean is that for each student, they have their own personalized pathway. They have their own personalized scope and sequence for Algebra 1 that they need to complete. And it's an individually paced continuous learning model, which means that students can dictate how fast they move through topics or how slow. Learning happens in a variety of ways. There is small group instruction. There's collaborative learning activities. There is breakout rooms with some direct instruction that's happening, as well as we have a whole library of math teacher, Carondelet math teacher created videos that provide instructional support for students as well. Students are paired with a lead teacher who tracks their progress, who sets goals with them, who checks in with them regularly to kind of make sure that they're meeting their goals. And as a result, students have multiple options to get to different levels of math. We have students can move from Algebra 1 into geometry, and that doesn't have to take by the end of the school year. So whenever students complete Algebra 1, they will immediately transition to that next level, which would be geometry. Same thing from geometry, they have a couple different options. They can go into financial algebra, which is a more traditional teacher-led class, or they can transition still within our continuous learning model into Algebra 2. And in algebra, geometry, Algebra 2, and even actually in pre-calculus and trig, we have opened up the honors curriculum to all students. So students are in the driver's seat. They decide if they want that extra challenge, if they want that additional challenge for themselves and to take on that honors curriculum. And they can decide that at any point within that course that they're working in. So this is a couple different pathways. You'll see there's a lot of different arrows because it's really personalized for a student's own goal. So a student who comes in Algebra 1 still has the option with our continuous learning model, if that is their goal, to get to AP Calculus, which in the past, that wouldn't have been an option for them if they were placed in Algebra 1. Students also have different electives that they can pursue, such as probability and statistics, AP statistics. And we also even have a non-AP calculus for students that want that challenge as well. So let's move on to talk about English.
Yes. English also has honors options for all students, but the way the English department reached out to students and try to make it a vibrant experience is focusing on a couple of different things. For one thing, I think the department firmly believes that there's no such thing as a student that doesn't like to read. There's just students who haven't been given the right book, and that they have a responsibility to both approach and create a cultural capital with canons, like they're not going to escape a Jane Austen or a Jane Eyre, which is not the author, but works anyway. They will, however, also be giving access to more contemporary fiction that speaks to teen experiences and with a variety of lenses. So they're given many opportunities. They're also given a lot more choice in what they read. So there is a base book that the group reads, but they also have book clubs, and then they can engage in conversations with each other around these things. The next big thing that shifts how English is taught is back when we were students. I mean, you read a book, you wrote an essay, you read a book, you wrote an essay, and that has shifted. There's more ways to write than just an essay. And even though they do have to learn this skill, it is not the only skill, and it is not the only way to access how to learn how to achieve this skill. So they bring in narrative writing, they bring in all sorts of different argumentative writing, all sorts of different structures and ways of expressing themselves, reflective writing, just to get students comfortable with the written word. So they do that through the reading and through the writing. And there is a lot of opportunity for them to collaborate. Similarly to math, students choose. They're not tested into an honors program. They can choose to take honors. They can even choose to just test the waters and dip their toes. It's like, I actually really like the idea of the book in this one particular unit, even if I don't want to be bothered with the honors level work for other units. And even within selecting honors, I think a final philosophy that's really important. Honors isn't just about more work. It's not about giving them more worksheets or loading them down. It's about how the subject is approached. Maybe their essay prompt is a little bit different. Like in Romeo and Juliet, instead of talking about conflict between two characters, which would be a traditional thing, an honor student would have to be an internal conflict that manifests outside of themselves and that the reader comes aware of. So it is a deeper way of looking at things. And all students, all of this journey has led to a few things. Like I showed you that honors chart in the honors and AP access. The way of changing this approach by giving access to selected honors and allowing students to opt in have led to a absolute explosion in students taking AP Lang and composition. And our ultimate goal, we've even opened up the ability for, even if you're not ready for it as a junior, to take it as a senior. But at the end of the day, the programming is built in such a way that they either have direct access to this college level course, or that we've built things in such a way that they will have access to the skills that the college level course has provided, whether they take it or not. So that is a big step for the AP program. The last department we're going to look at is science. And the reason for that is that science has, by virtue of this content-driven subject, they have had to approach and could not just say, hey, we're going to have honors and embedded in this. There's only a certain number of labs you can build in one physical space. So there's a more traditional, there's an honors, a regular, an honors, and an advanced placement version for the courses. But even within the individual course, that initial year, we have flipped the traditional model of starting in with biology and moving your way up. We start with physics, and all our students go through physics. And the reason for that is, A, it allows all our students to have physics, which is a wonderful experience. It is also a very hands-on experience, and the way the course is built is designed to progressively build on their burgeoning math skills. So the students are brought into this. There is no advanced or honors option for this class. There are opportunities within the course to try things that are a little bit harder, to give the teachers and the students the ability to experience what an honors level course might look like. And that helps us with our recommendations. And specifically, so to give an idea of the difference between the courses, the core classes, we want to make sure that the students build these skills and core ideas, and they're very supported through the process. If you start moving into the honors, that you have an increased independence and autonomy in the whole learning journey. And you are going to look at data, you're going to look at analysis, you're going to dare to be a little bit braver and not rely as much on the teacher for your journey. And ultimately, the advanced placement courses, these are college level courses, and we do not recommend students into these lightly because they are fast paced, and it is really for a student that thrives in that environment with that subject. At the end of the day, once students get through the core class, the goal of the department is for girls to be curious about learning science in general. And there is a large variety of all sorts of electives that they can take when they've met grad requirements. So yes, they can go deeper on some of the core courses like take AP Chem or take AP Bio, but they also have the opportunity to discover amazing things. Like, we're right near a coast. We are on the coast. Marine biology, they could take, if they're interested in the health sciences, they can take anatomy and physiology. They can also take, we have a growing number of students taking AP environmental science, for obvious reasons. There is a lot going on in our world, and we have even created this year a research at Carondelet class, which is designed to help students learn how to be scientists and build an experiment from beginning and to end, depending on if they take year or semester. So these are some of the opportunities that lead up, and just to not let everybody forget that we're a Catholic school, we've added one piece to the puzzle, because their journey is not just about what they learn in terms of content.
And so ultimately, when students get to that senior year, students have the opportunity to complete a capstone project. And this is really where they reflect back on their past 4 years at Carondelet. They reflect on our integral student outcomes. They connect with the Sisters of St. Joseph, their charism. They're looking at our mission of heart, faith, and courage, And all that together leads up to excellence. And how does that they reflect upon that process and create a capstone reflection. This can take place in a variety of ways. There are some really creative elements. Some students have created songs or performances. Some do it through poetry, some do it through a written reflection. But it's really a chance for them to sort of seal up that Carondelet education that they've been provided with during their 4 years, and ultimately lead off with this capstone project that they are paired with a mentor. They work on it during one of the semesters of their senior year. And it's really a wonderful time for them to reflect back and to take that before they take that next step and moving on to whatever comes next after Carondelet. So this is sort of an overview. There's obviously other subjects, and we could probably speak for 4 or 5
Way
hours.
too long.
But we're trying to keep it short. It's an overview. Please look into our website, read through the course catalog, reach out with any questions you have about any of our academic offerings, either to Elizabeth or myself or any of the department chairs. And we look forward to speaking with you.
And hopefully you come on campus for our open houses, because hearing us say it is one thing, living the experience, talking to our students, meeting our teachers, because I think one of the things that really stands out at Carondelet is really how committed our faculty are, and how much they really profoundly care about the mission of the school and this journey.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.